Hi, I'm McEwan, and it's really a great pleasure to be able to provide a summary of all of the things that have really intersected in my career as a researcher and an academic. And I'm looking back, I guess, over more than 40 years. I chose science over professional degrees such as medicine because I really found chemistry and biochemistry inspiring at an early stage. I've moved considerably between microbiology and actually quite advanced chemistry, with biochemistry sitting as the nexus for this.
Al's had a really enduring legacy in the Australian scientific community and really quite an impact on the sector in terms of microbiology.
And I learned about the importance of not being frightened to be wrong, to get things wrong, casting one's net wide in terms of hypothesis, but also I think the importance of being professional in the way you manage things as well.
His approach to research to just encourage people to go and follow their ideas and work out what would be interesting and what might be the next idea in an area has really paid off.
Everyone benefits if they support each other, and I received a huge amount of support from mentors. And I think even though I haven't supervised a huge number of PhD students, I'm really proud of what the ones who have achieved who've gone through my lab.
And at that meeting, we actually had former McEwan Lab graduates, almost all of whom are now full professors.
I'm quite often more interested in the success of others in that respect.
He's always been a passionate researcher, but I think his biggest impact is on helping foster and development the careers of both researchers, teaching focused academics, and really about, what do people need to be thinking about in terms of developing their own careers.
As a head of school, it was a really interesting role to take on, School of Chemistry and Molecular Biosciences. One thing is to invest in good quality people.
Al's vision of hiring education-focused academics was really, really important and very different to the way a lot of the schools were thinking at the time.
So when I went to university, it was less than 10% of people finishing high school would go to university. Now it's extended to something like 50% of the population. For those of us in academia, how we teach such a group is actually changes enormously as well.
And Al asked the question, really, really unusual question for a head of school at the time: what if we had somebody who was really dedicated to and passionate about teaching, who was also a card-carrying scientist? He said that he was looking for somebody to change the culture of teaching and learning in the school. Very unusual.
But I think the other thing is to think carefully about the curriculum, in fact, how we teach our students as well as what we teach our students.
As the head of school of SEMB, had a lot of impact on the restructuring of not just the school, but also the Bachelor of Science.
So the first time I remember meeting Al was during an external review of the Bachelor of Science.
There is a sequence of study that's important still, and that there are certain topics and certain areas from which one builds as a platform to tackle more complex challenges.
And it's fair to say that we were very, very divergent across all of the different schools on our views of what the Bachelor of Science should look like going forward.
And so I think the BSc review was something that I'm really pleased about the outcomes, and I think it stood the test of time.
My memory of Al was that he was one of the few very, very clear and systematic and principled voices that cut through a lot of the arguments and discussions that really helped us set up the Bachelor of Science for a long period of time.
So after the head of school, I really was wondering what I should do next. And when the graduate school position became available, I really jumped at that position because it gave me a chance to see the whole of the university. When I think about the dean's role, why I was so interested in graduate research education, I think it's because there were real challenges were being posed.
So I worked with Al for about 6 years in close partnership as the director, and he was the dean, and together we achieved quite a lot.
It's not just about the research outputs, it's about the transferable skills and the capabilities that a researcher develops through the PhD.
So we're known for being one of the early adopters of career development, to see PhD students as not just developing a research project and producing a thesis, but to actually develop the candidate.
We did have some big changes to the graduate program, the HDR program. One of these was the introduction of oral exams.
The oral exam, which means the candidate can show what they can do, and it's not just about the document.
I was one of the first batch of students who had to complete an oral defense.
I suppose I was expecting to be really drilled and questioned.
And I was very confident that, knowing the quality of our students, they would have no trouble defending their thesis.
It isn't so much of an examination process, but really a discussion and a collaboration with other people who oftentimes really enjoy reading the work that you have produced.
What I found most useful about the oral defense was that I could actually meet with my examiners almost in person. Yes, it was virtual, but in person, and discuss the ins and outs of the thesis.
I would just add one more thing in this context. Being able to write in a compelling way, in a convincing way, and also being able to speak to your work and articulate that is a transferable skill. And so the oral exam in many ways exemplifies the liberal education approach to research training. So there are other aspects of the HDR program which I'm very pleased about. One of them is the Global Change Scholars program.
The Global Change Scholars program, that was our invention.
I was one of the participants in the 2018 Global Change Scholars program.
They learn about research impact and knowledge exchange, and they get out there and work with an end user to demonstrate that via a team-based approach that they can deliver some really interesting findings and outcomes.
We were working with industry partners, so we all had very different backgrounds, and also we were from different countries, which makes it even richer.
Composition is incredibly diverse from across the entire globe.
I think the fact that we were working together with different colleagues from different disciplines just makes it really important for me to be able to explain my ideas so everyone could understand.
Transdisciplinarity is actually about learning to speak another person's or another discipline's language, or at least understanding it, so you can be conversant, not just bringing one's own solution to a challenge.
I think the beautiful thing about the Global Change program was that it enabled this cohort sort of come together, throw ideas around with incredibly different backgrounds. And I think that was one of the eye-opening things to me, was sort of realizing or comprehending for the first time some of these problems from a different point of view and how they may be tackled.
And that's really positioned UQ as being external facing.
And that was a skill that I knew it was important, but I didn't realize how important it was until I had to practice it.
Al would come in and he'd just sort of watch, and I think he realized that this is the way forward, this sort of collaboration between multidisciplines, beliefs, faiths, and all that. That'll be the legacy that I take away from the program.
And one of the things from observing the Global Change Scholars is that by the end, they're such an incredible team, they're such a great camaraderie, but also they do appreciate the disciplines from across the entire university. And they can at least start to speak the language or learn the language to be conversant with and appreciate other areas. And I think that approach could really be taken to senior undergraduate areas as well, in order to really build that connectivity across the university. So the last couple of years I've been doing the PVC research role. This extends that approach that we've been taking. It's really about people, it's really about the research culture. It's about how we do our research. It's just as important as what we do. It's really talking to our supervisors and really asking them to show how they're developing their people, whether it's from a senior undergraduate and an honors student all the way through to their early career researchers. So I think that the university is really in a great position. I was really enjoyed working on the research roadmap. It's really highlighting the point that our success is collaborative, that yes, we do have truly outstanding people, but even their success is a consequence of the collaborative effort that goes behind them. So I think this is my time to leave UQ. I will continue to interact and look forward to the university really doing great things in the future.